Well, good morning, afternoon, or evening, YouTube. This is Daily Stoic with your host, Jeffrey. It's been a rough couple days, McCabe. Same theme going on. I have some issues with my children's mother, and it is weighing on me terribly, but it's an ongoing thing, and I need to learn how to stay calm and stoic and not overreact. I will say this, parent alienation is a crime. Mental abuse is a crime. I will not just sit back this time. It's been years and years of this, and I've let it get to this point. I rely on her for things, and then she snaps out and causes all this drama. I will be there for my kids every single day of my life. Don't ever doubt it. That's all I'm going to say about that, because it's not the place nor the time for this type of stuff, but I am hurting, I am broken, and I'm mad, and I am sad, and I'm just trying to control it all. So I turn to stoicism for that. And sometimes it's just not quite enough, but I'm doing my very best to keep it together. And I would say, compared to how I've done it before, I've handled it decently this weekend. But yeah, it's been a rough weekend. As always, reading the Daily Stoic, 366 Meditations on Wisdom, Perseverance, and the Art of Living by Ryan Holiday and Stephen Hasselman. If you're new here, get out of here. Go Google what Stoicism is. See if it's for you. See if it speaks to you. It is an ancient philosophy that stood the test of time and lands here on your YouTube page, on my YouTube page. I've been doing these readings for quite some time. People seem to find them helpful. Hate to quit saying it, but I did switch from Facebook Lives to YouTube. It's been a slow go, not getting many views other than a couple here and there. But I challenged myself, and I think as I continue to grow in the channel, we will get there eventually. So if you are here, please like, share, comment, subscribe. It all helps out algorithm. If you're new here, go ahead, check me out on Facebook, Jeffrey McCabe, real name, no gimmicks. I've had a really wild journey, especially in the last year or so. Rehab, recovery, advocate. I spoke at City Hall on May 1st and again in August. I helped with the homeless community. I've recently went back to work. I'm trying to find my way. I have a testimony with God. It's been the wildest year of my life, and now we're here. And this year, last year to me was all about recovery, finding my way, and then I went back to work. And I'm like, okay, now let's say, I don't want to say recovery's over. They say you're always in recovery, but what I mean is, okay, I did a lot of soul searching. I found who I was, and now I have to put it to practice. Now I have to start moving forward. Now I have to rebuild my life because I'm starting over at nothing at almost 42 years old. But it's not a woe me, some bad decisions on my part, some inability to get over my BS and move forward in life. A lot to do with what I was talking before. I've been stuck in this fucking loop forever, and it's time to break free. So that's what this year is all about. I want to do amazing things to help people of all kinds. I've suffered with mental illness and addictions my entire life. And I've always wanted to go back and help some people. I think I could be a big voice and a great, clear mind when it comes, especially to mental health. In my early 20s, I was put in a psych ward. And although I wasn't well, I had a bit of a bipolar episode. And then but when I kind of came out of it, I could sort of step back and see what the heck was going on in these hospitals and how mental health is dealt with. And this stigma is still very alive. People are still mistreated, misdiagnosed, fed pills and told to be quiet. And I think it's heartbreaking. If you look at the state of our cities in our country right now, I'm from Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. It's the worst I've ever seen it. Mental health, addiction, homelessness, poverty, and it's only getting worse. I've struggled since I went back to work full time. I work 12-hour shifts to really be back out in that community. I'm going to try to find my feet and figure out when and how to be a voice and hopefully some help to those who need it. But especially with the mental health stuff, I feel like people are treated so very poorly and so wrong. My experience when I was 20, I was like, I always want to go back and help those people. This year when I came out of rehab, I was like, I'm never going back to my regular job again. This is what I want to do. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. I did do peer support training, but there's not really a career in it as long as, with money for an entry level position. And I need lots of, I need a good job. I need a good career. So I went back to my job, which has been good, beneficial, at least monetary wise. But part of me still struggling with not being out, doing outreach help, speaking, sitting in city meetings, seeing what they're really doing. but we're struggling. We're struggling bad. The weather is going to get super cold this week, and my heart breaks for anybody who has to live outside. And some people refuse to go in because then they can't do their drugs, and that's how powerful this addiction is, right? Like addiction takes full control of you, especially if you're doing the drugs that are out there now. These street drugs are more powerful, more dangerous than they've ever been, and I just think, like, for some people, like, I don't want to go into the shelter because I can't do my drugs. I'd rather freeze to death outside. It's super sad. They need help. You can't force treatment on anybody. You can't force anybody to do anything. But I think if there was better ways to get people inside, allow them to go out, do their little drugs, come. I don't know. I don't know the solution. I'm not a huge advocate for open air drug use at all. In certain, you know what I mean? Like, I'm okay with safe consumption sites. But those come with problems as well. They seem to, in certain cases, just prolong the issue. They're not actually helping anybody. I think if you have safe consumption, there should be a lot of mental health resources and ability to get into a rehab. Unfortunately, rehab's not covered in this country. Like, my work benefits paid, I think, $40-something thousand for me to go to rehab. Not everybody has that. The stuff, the rehabilitation programs that are offered are terribly managed. Not enough. If you can go 3-day detox and then get thrown back out onto the street where you are going to fall right back, 3 days is not enough. It might be physically enough to make sure you don't die from withdrawals, but it's not enough to change anybody. And I think if we're really serious about addiction being an illness, like they've taught in schools and they try to teach you in the rehab, that we would treat it as such. Imagine if you had cancer and like, well, you got fucking cancer because you smoke, now you're outside. You don't get to get chemo. You don't get to see doctors, right? You can go to the hospital for 3 days, make sure you don't die. But after that, you got to go back to living outside. That's not how we would treat anybody with cancer. But that's how we treat people with addictions and mental illness. Addiction and mental illness go hand in hand most of the time. If you didn't have mental illness before you started doing drugs, by the time you're, through part way of your addiction, you will 100% have some of the mental illness to go with it. Sometimes you have mental illness which leads to addictions because you can't cope, you can't deal with it. I think that was my issue. I was never a full-time, everyday kind of a drug addict, other than nicotine and weed and stuff. But the harder stuff, I would go on benders, and then my whole life would collapse. And I was trying to escape. I couldn't handle my emotions. I was never comfortable in my own skin. So I'm still learning a lot about that. All that to say, I really do think I can be a helpful voice, and I would love to be helpful and create. I'd love to make it as a career, but I don't want to be, it wouldn't be my aim to be like rich off the back of people with problems, but I would like to find myself a day-to-day basis where I can read, write, research, help, and talk and speak my mind and be part of the solution. So, God willing, look at my cool shirt. It's a nice sunset. I love sunsets. Is that a sunrise or sunset? Can we tell? I don't know how you would tell. I think it's a sunset. I don't know what the difference is. If the colors or the gradients would be different. Anyways, let's get right into it. Today is January 19th. Wherever you go, your choice is. A podium and a prison is each a place, one high and the other low. But in either place, your freedom of choice can be maintained if you wish. Epictetus Discourses 2.6.25. Ooh, I like this one. Let's see what the modern day Stoics have to say about it, and then I'll do my little rant about it, and we'll move on with our day. The Stoics all held vastly different stations in life. Some were rich, some were born at the bottom of Rome's rigid hierarchy. Some had it easy, and others had it unmanageably hard. This is true for us as well. We all come to philosophy from different backgrounds, and even within our own lives, we experience bouts of good fortune and bad fortune. But in all circumstances, adversity or advantage, we really have just one thing we need to do. Focus on what is in our control, as opposed to what is not. Right now, we might be laid low with struggles. Whereas just a few years ago, we might have lived high on the hog. And in just a few days, we might be doing so well that success is actually a burden. One thing will stay consistent: our freedom of choice, both in the big picture and the small picture. Ultimately, this is clarity. Whoever we are, wherever we are, what matters is our choices. What are they? How will we evaluate them? How will we make the most of them? Those are the questions life asks us, regardless of our station. How will you answer? Ooh, I like that. It's a matter of choice. Wherever you are is where you are. I think it was Nelson Mandela. They said, like, for him to sit in prison and to still have he was a helpful person in prison. He helped his brothers. He made the choice to not be debilitated by his situation. That's true in life, man. Like, my life right now is in a rough spot, but I'm choosing to continue. I'm choosing to try to better myself even at my lowest, instead of what I've done in the past has been full of regret and animosity and being mad at my situation, or being down on my situation, being ashamed of myself. I've spent so long doing that, and it's a much better thing, like, even at my lowest, to keep my head up and to keep going, and to not give up. And that's a matter of choice. So no matter where you are in life, you have a choice on how you perceive your situation. And with that, I think is a good note to leave this YouTube clip. Fuck that all up. I'm not erasing it. I'm not deleting it. I've misspoken. That sounded ridiculous. I love you guys. I hope you have a great day. Like I said, like, share, comment. I'm going to try to build and grow this channel. And as always, love, hope, and faith. I love you guys.